Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Celebrate Thanksgiving with your family. Do not abide by government decrees that are not laws. Celebrate Thanksgiving. And remember these words of Dr. Scott Atlas. We get what we accept. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America. Followed by a Patriot. Come on, Patriots. Need you more than ever for our Pledge of Allegiance. Be proud. Here we go. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell and Zeb at the Ranch on this Tuesday, November 17th. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires and service. And, of course, don't forget our friends, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And right now, let's head for the weather forecast. And I see some patchy blue sky out there this morning. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Right there, can't miss them, on the Burley-Paul Highway for the rental of the best tools and equipment you need to finish any kind of a job. And they offer rental tools and equipment for both the long and the short term. And I'll tell you what, they've got everything over there. You check it out. K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. Questions? 678-3122. And now here's Gina with the weather.
Precipitation is in our forecast, and it's going to be a decent day for today. Mostly cloudy skies is what we're looking at. High of about 57. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of rain showers, possible snow showers up at the higher elevations with the low 41. 50% chance of rain showers for tomorrow. It's a little bit breezy, high of 52. That's going to be tapering off for tomorrow night with a low of about 33 by Thursday. Partly sunny, 46. Friday and Saturday, very nice, but cooler temperatures. Sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the upper 30s. That's what's your weather for.
Thank you very much, Gina, and brought to you by K&R Rental. Roger and the crew get there early in the morning to serve you with all your needs. And don't forget, they've got the equipment to winterize your gardens. This might be the last couple of days to get everything ship-shape and ready to go for next spring. Check it out quickly. Call them if you have questions, 678-3122. On the Burley-Paul Highway, K&R Rental. Want to also mention, before we take our call, about our dear friends at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. I've got to get in there. I do. I've got shirts that need fixing, and I've got all kinds of clothes that need cleaning. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Kevin, Cindy, the whole crew. And by the way, if you don't have time to do your washing, they'll wash, dry, fold your clothes just like Mama used to at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Stop in and see these they are the nicest people. You stop in and let them help you. Reminder, too, about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. And we're talking 7 decades of service to you with all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Yes, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Now, the number to call, 678-0459. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they do have it all. Plus, they've got all the experience to help you and the knowledge. They know what they're doing at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Right now, good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, good morning to you, Zed.
Hi there, anniversary boy.
Well, it's over with.
I know that.
For 59 years, and that's all there is.
Well, wait a minute. No, that's not true. It's you've got to say this correctly if you want to keep Nancy happy. Your anniversary and the happiness that it generates lasts from day to day to day.
What am I going to do without you?
There you go. A lot of people say it the other way. What are they going to do with me?
Yeah. You know, 65 years ago, I graduated from high school. And you would go to a basketball game, and they had the scoreboard up there telling you what the score is.
Sure.
And if there was a mistake, all they had to do was push a button. That has not changed in 65 years.
Okay.
But what we got to find now is who's pushing those buttons.
Well, I think that's a fairly nice analogy to start things off this morning. I am not happy with who's pushing the so-called buttons. I don't trust who's pushing the so-called buttons. I don't like major oops and mistakes. I'll give you an instance. In Georgia, they just found them. Over 2,600 ballots. That's about the size of Filer's voting force. The size of Filer, Idaho. They just lost them, and oh my goodness, they found them, and all is well.
Yeah, we have these cyberless machines that can do anything. They discovered that. We got the goods on them, okay? But we've got to prove now that somebody pushed those buttons to make that happen.
I totally agree with you, and I've got so many stories of that have fueled my hatred for the left, one of which I'm going to be featuring right after our phone call. I don't know if you saw it or not, but the absolute pathetic video of the vermin left, and I use all the terminology I can. And don't forget, we'll have that in just a moment. Caller, I'm going to ask you to stand by, and I've got to pay some bills. I'll be right with you. Keith, thank you for your call. I'm going to get right to that, and I've got another call. Thank you so much.
You're always welcome.
Appreciate that. We've had some things come up here I had to take care of immediately. All right, caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. Don't forget, they've got all the delicious food and great people to serve you. Absolutely. Oh, they've got the turkey dinners on the menu and the delicious pies and all the breakfast choices, lunch and dinner choices, desserts. Oh, you're going to love it. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. They are America's Diner. Real quick, too, I want to remind everybody about our friends. No, I'm not. I'm going to do that quick. I got to do this real fast. Caller, stand by. Happy Thanksgiving, and I mean Happy Thanksgiving from Baker Brothers Pump Service, 103 West, 500 South of Burley, 678-9042. They are so reliable, so trustworthy, and they are there to serve you from residential and commercial pump service to water softener sales. They are there. Baker Brothers Pump Service. Excellent. Mountain Transmissions, 1146 East Main in Burley, right across from Stokes Food Center. Wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving with your family. Don't forget, if you've got transmission problems, get a hold of Mountain Transmissions, 1146 East Main in Burley. And Magic Valley Irrigation with our old buddy Jeff and his crew. Boy, I tell you what, they really are good at Magic Valley Irrigation, and they look forward to serving you. Number to call, 678 678-3101, located at 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Caller, I am so sorry. Go ahead, please.
No, I want to give a plug for Denny's for you. When I was hiking with my grandson and two granddaughters at Arches National Park, and my grandson is 13 years old at the time, and he just basically inhaled his food, at that age. But anyway, we went to Denny's there in Moab, and he just kept bringing out that Grand Slam breakfast. Was just huge. I mean, he shared some of his food with his two sisters, but the thing is, he ate really fast, and just kind of inhaled it. So we went out to do some hiking up there at Arches, and you know how these lizards attract their food. They have an attractant, and so we saw this chameleon or lizard with the same color as that sandstone, and I said, just keep an eye on that lizard. I said, if there's a fly in the area, he's looking for lunch. And so pretty soon there's this fly running around there, and all of a sudden I said, keep watching, and the tongue went out, and that fly never knew it hit him. It went out about 4 inches, it looked like. It was really funny. So we found something that could eat faster than my grandson, Jared.
Well, okay, I was hoping you'd get to the point.
The breakfast, the food at Denny's is always good, and I want to give a plug for your sponsor there. But on a serious note, what you're talking about, this voter fraud, these Democrats, a lot of the leadership, and some in the Republicans too. I have a friend that moved from California 15 years ago and lived near Bohemian Grove.
Okay, let's get to the Adrian. Adrian, I don't care where they live. I just want you to get to the point quickly. I've got a lot of calls stacked up.
They go to Bohemian Grove and they kill conscience, and that's part of their ritual. Is that they have. Alex Jones actually photographed this, and they have this big owl. They kill conscience. These people are Satanists in every respect. These people that want to take over this country, they are Satanists. That's the bottom line. This is the battle between good and evil, and they don't have any scruples about cheating, lying, doing it, using Saul Alinsky's model of demonize and divide and just make it up.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is the way they work, because they have made their allegiance to Lucifer, Satan, and that's the bottom line. And so we have to realize we're working, this is a spiritual battle, not just a physical battle.
I agree with you, and I appreciate your point. Thank you. And I'm not sure whether Thomas is going to appreciate the lizard analogy, but it was a good one. Thank you very much for your call, Adrian. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Older than that now, but I mean, at that age, I probably ate the same way as soon as but we still talk about that but Denny's is a great place to eat.
Thank you very much. All right. I've got to pay some bills here real quick, and then we'll take the next call. Caller, stand by, please. I want to remind everybody about Dino's Septic Service. Oh, these people are good, and they cover, my goodness, Grouse Creek to American Falls, Twin Falls, Jerome, Burley, Rupert. They're all over serving you. And I know that if you've got sewer and sink drain line cleaning needed, they're there. Septic tank pumping, they're there. Liquid waste removal, they are there. Backhoe services, the best, they are there. Call them. They will serve you. How do I know? Because they've worked for us and they are excellent. Don't forget Dino's Septic Service, and the numbers to call: 436-6526 or 678-1638 or 735 in Twin Falls 8281. The best serving you, and that's Dino's Septic Service. You get a hold of them today. Quick reminder, too, by the way, don't forget your home is one place where everything should be perfect, including your air. Ramsey Heating and Electric helps you achieve the perfect air you deserve with reliable, groundbreaking, award-winning Lennox products. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today and see how you can get a Lennox home comfort system that'll improve your health. And, of course, it doesn't get any better than that. Call them at 678-0459 or visit RamseysOnline.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Sean, I thought I heard the moo of the cow, but if I didn't, let me know. Is there another call pending?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Caller, you're on the air. Appreciate you.
Morning, Jeff. The menu at the Burley Senior Center today is chicken tenders and all the trimmings. And you can call and you get one to go if you need it.
Oh, my goodness, that sounds like a good meal over at the Senior Center on Overland Avenue. Joe Taylor, the #1 cheerleader, and for only $5. Everybody give them a call. They are good people and need our support. Thank you, Joe Taylor.
Thank you much.
All right, my friend. Thank you. God bless you. Good guy. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving to those folks. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to be really careful about how I relate this story to you. Why? Because my German temper is possibly and very probably going to prevail. I watched the videos that were taken of the absolutely pathetic vermin that were at the Trump rally Saturday that were Antifa and Black Lives Matter. The Trump ralliers absolutely were, there was nothing wrong. They did nothing wrong. There were tens of thousands of people that marched with the American flag, sang the national anthem, recited the Pledge of Allegiance, and absolutely are committed to President Trump and his policies. But Antifa and Black Lives Matter, they can't stand that. No, they're perpetrated by the left to go out and have all the chaos, anarchy, and problems that they can cause or result in hateful and hurtful attitudes against our citizens. When you watch this video of these absolutely gutter people that were walking up and blindsiding, sucker punching, or whatever you want to call it, innocent people, the one that was absolutely horrendous. There was a gentleman just walking down the street with his hands in his pockets, wearing a Trump jacket. Hold on, caller, I'll be right with you, I promise. Wearing a Trump jacket. And out of the camera range, you see this arm come up and bam! Hit him so hard in the cheek and the nose, he goes face down, out cold for a moment on the sidewalk. And as he is laying there, other vermin came up and kicked him in the head. And another man was on a bicycle. A man that was about 66, 67, they anticipated his age was in that range. And he was riding a bicycle to go back home, and they knocked him off the bike and beat him curbside. Wouldn't let him up. This is your Black Lives Matter. This is your Antifa. This is your filth of our society. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. And now we need to listen to the Democrats coming out and saying we need unity. We need unity. We need to come together. So when will they start denouncing these groups and what is going on and hold them accountable?
And bumbling Joe Biden, that has the IQ of a centipede, came out and said, well, I'm sure that with these attacks, there must have been something that might have precipitated it, probably white supremacy. No, I'm serious. That's what was said. Biden said nothing about these crimes, nothing about these beatings until yesterday, and then said there must have been some white supremacy too.
That's ridiculous. And this is who we want to go up against China, Russia, Iran. This is who they want to lead this country and keep this country safe.
Let me tell you something, my dear friend, and knowing you like I do, I'm sure you're ahead of me on this story, but I'm going to relate it quickly. Yesterday was a supposed rigged, set-up news conference for Joe Biden. Only, here's what they did. They picked and chose who was going to be there asking questions. They picked the networks, they picked the reporters, and they picked the questions. Fox News was not anywhere close to being picked because they knew there was going to be some tough questions. And they threw softball questions at Biden regarding only Trump and the presidency and the takeover of the White House. Nothing about the economy. Nothing about China. Nothing about national security. We don't have one damn clue as to where this administration stands on anything because they won't answer any questions.
That's exactly right. And if they don't have to answer a question, then they're not held accountable when they don't do what people want.
Bingo.
I mean, even Ray Charles could see that was a fake.
I am really getting concerned that we are looking at a Gestapo-type administration. If and when Biden and Harris take over, you know it's going to be just a short period of time before they turn old bumbling Joe out to pasture, and they might invoke the 25th Amendment and put the world's greatest socialist and communist from our Senate, Kamala Harris, in the Oval Office, and then you'd better hitch up your big boy pants because we're in trouble.
Yes, and I've talked to a few people, and this one lady I was talking to, she's pretty knowledgeable, and she wouldn't say anything if she didn't think that it was possible. And she was stating that Nancy Pelosi's done that 25th Amendment deal through the House, and so she could get Biden out.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with her there. But then she says, when Kamala was born, the laws weren't where she is not a naturalized citizen because her parents were here on student visas, got married here, and she was born here. So she could not be president. So then Nancy Pelosi will be able to throw her out and step in.
You know, all of these things that you're saying, a lot of people are wrinkling their brow or getting a sneer on their face, and they're saying, oh, those right-wingers, they don't know what they're talking about. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And the framework is there because I've also done some checking about Kamala Harris. Not only do I detest her like I did Barack Obama, but there's a lot of holes in the screen door as to really what her background is and what the truth is about where she came from and where and how. I don't trust this whole situation. Naturally, they're going to say we're birthers like we were back in Obama's presidency. But you know what? There's a lot of questions out there.
A lot of questions. And I feel that President Trump has a great chance to prove this election was stolen. Because that Victoria Tinsing, I think that's her name, or not her, the one that represents General Flynn.
Oh, I know who you mean. She's from Texas. I can't think of her name right offhand. Okay.
I can't either.
All right.
But she has made some comments, and she says that she does not comment or say anything that she cannot prove.
That's right.
And if I was in trouble, I guarantee you I'd want her on my side.
Dr. Scott Atlas said something a couple of days ago, and it's a quote that I am attributing to him. I used it in the opening remarks this morning. And it's absolutely the truth, and it is 5 simple words. We get what we accept.
Exactly. And I've learned a long time ago in my life, you never take no from someone who can't give you a yes.
Absolutely. You know, the thing is, whether it's Thanksgiving with our families, whether it's shutdowns, lockdowns, or whether it's kind of we're not going to tell the American public anything. We're not going to have any news reporters in this room that are going to ask hard questions. Joe's mind capability can't handle it. He might get sidetracked. We got to protect our left-wing ideas and goals, so we're only going to handpick certain reporters and allow about 6 or 7 questions and then end of news conference. Don't you see, and the rest of the American public see, where we're headed? We're headed into a Castro-like America that was in Cuba, but it's trying to beach on our shores.
Exactly. Can you imagine the media if President Trump did that?
Ooh, he never did. I mean, he stood for half hour, 45 minutes, a lot of times an hour, on his way to Air Force One or the helicopter, answering questions from every network. And the left can be oh so proud because they have to hand pick, like picking out a Christmas present. They have to hand pick who they're going to ask questions of or receive questions from. And they're scared. They're scared of the media maybe slipping through and showing the cracks in the face and the mind of Joe Biden.
Exactly. And if you want to know who's the enemy of America, if someone does not tell you the truth, covers up the truth, and feeds you propaganda, you think they have America's best interest at heart?
Well, okay, wait a minute. I got to make sure we don't have another call waiting. I'll check with Sean. Sean, is there another call waiting? I don't want to hold people up.
You're good.
All right, thanks, buddy. I've got to tell you that I've taken some heat on my cell phone, which is fine. I respect other people having a difference of opinion. But I'll look at this Thanksgiving deal. Look at the power play that's being forced upon the American public from Cuomo in New York, the governor, Newsom in California, Inslee in our neighboring state of Washington, Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago. All of them are spouting control over you and I, even to the point where Cuomo in New York has said if you go over 10 people in your house for Thanksgiving, we might come in and disrupt the whole proceeding. What? Private property? This isn't the America I was born and raised in.
Where is the law that says he can do that?
There isn't any.
And where's the law that Newsom can do what he does, say what he does, and make you do it, but he doesn't do it himself?
Well, that's the whole point. I said in the opening, celebrate Thanksgiving with your family. Do not abide by government decrees that are not laws. Celebrate Thanksgiving. We will, and nobody from government, some stupid, slimy politician with three-piece suit and wingtip shoes on is going to stop us.
No, not me. And I'll guarantee you, we need governors to do like South Dakota, and now I think Mississippi, the governor down there says he's not going to participate in a national lockdown. He's going to give suggestions and let the American people in his state decide what to do.
Here's what needs to happen today, and my respect for Brad Little would go up a lot if he would just call Jay Inslee over in Washington and in a very polite fashion tell Jay Inslee to go to you-know-where.
Well, you know how Jay Inslee keeps getting elected over there.
Well, there's a bunch of fraud charlatans and lefties that don't know come here from Sikkim.
Well, Washington's been a mail-in ballot state for years.
That's right.
Yeah. And I had a friend of mine had a farm, a ranch over there in Washington, big farm, a sod farm. And he told me, he says they don't elect governors and mayors over there. They just have a stupid contest to see who wins.
Well, Jay Inslee, put the dunce cap on him, put a chin strap on it, because it's going to be there for a while. When he comes out and criticizes our state, namely our governor and the state officials, honestly, I would absolutely have a lot more respect for Brad Little if he would just personally get on the phone and say, "Hi, Jay, how you doing? This is Brad over here in Idaho. I just thought I'd tell you that I don't care for your remarks, and shut your mouth when it comes to my state and the management of my state."
Exactly. And I'll bet you the west half of or the east half of Washington, the east half of Oregon would just love to join in and be part of Idaho.
Well, see, Oregon is already, and this is not anything to snuff at. We were talking to Steve Hartkin the other day on the program, if you were listening, and rural Oregon is really, the counties over on the east side of the state are absolutely looking at coming into Idaho. And it's not just Balderdash. Jefferson and Union counties are trying to join Idaho, and I don't blame them.
I don't either. And they need to clean up the voting process. They need to clean it up to where people have confidence in it, whether you're on the left or on the right. And this way, the people will choose the government. Because if you have a government of the people and by the people, you can't have that if the elections are not.
Absolutely.
And honest.
You know, that New York sheriff, I've got to say this, and then I've got to run and do some commercials and let other people on the phone. The sheriffs and the counties of New York, many sheriffs, have basically stepped forward and told New York State Governor Cuomo, back off. We are not going to use our men, our deputies, to go to people's homes with search warrants. And if they're over 10 people, disrupt their Thanksgiving and throw the overage of 10 people out of the house. This is an America that I never thought in my lifetime I'd be talking about.
No, this is what you would hear about, like Cuba,
yes,
Russia, and China, but not America.
And to go back to that quote, we get what we accept.
Exactly.
Got to run.
Okay, hey, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. I mean, they're struggling in this time of COVID, which they couldn't serve people for a long time in their restaurants. So go support them, donate to them, and go there and eat and leave with a full tummy and a full heart.
Thank you, Doug. Always appreciate the conversation. And right now we're going to tell everybody about Barry Equipment and Rental Sales, Service, and Parts. Oh, yeah. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. Oh, yeah. They've got everything you need. I mean, all the bobcats, all the trenchers and scissor lifts. They've got all the equipment for the lifting, the digging, the pushing, the carrying, and the grading, and the leveling. Oh, yeah. And, of course, also Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. And they've got super great financing programs and lease rates. Oh, do it today. Call them. Stop in. Barry Equipment and Rental. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Really, really good people. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. You know, major crimes have been committed across the United States with this bogus election that's gone on. Donald Trump is doing exactly what is needed to take care of the situation. We've got many Republican congressmen out there that are siding with the Democratic Party to get this election done, install one of the biggest crooks that's ever entered politics in Washington, D.C., along with his son. And that, you know, I really get disgusted when I hear about these the politicians, the conservative ones, so-called, that are siding with the Democrats to install this big crook into Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And I think every program out there that is conservative needs to expose the names of these Republican politicians that are getting the big bucks every month and trying to bring our country down at the same time.
I could not agree with you more. I look at the situation of the Democrats and Democratic leadership in the cities and the states of California and Illinois and New York, all across the board. And the sleaze and the slime and the disgusting attitude with which they govern is absolutely enough to give me a case of the flu.
Well, Donald Trump is doing exactly the right thing of fighting against what's happened in our election. It is corruption. It's a crime that's been committed, and until that crime is solved, he needs to stay in there as president.
Absolutely. I'm a Trump supporter, and if it's a fair election, I will bow my head and say, yes, he lost, and I will say, yes, the new administration takes over, but that does not mean in any way, shape, or form that I'm not going to keep fighting and watching them and denigrating them, meaning the new administration, if they try to tear apart or alter the laws and the Constitution of this country. Tony, you and Mary, dear friends.
Crimes have been committed as far as this voting goes.
I agree with you. God bless you.
No other way to explain it.
Absolutely. Tony, a great day every time you call. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim.
All right. I want to go back to Washington for a minute, and the illustrious Jay Inslee that finds himself criticizing our state of Idaho. Jay, you've got some real slime in your state of Washington. And I'm going to tell everybody why you have more slime than others in just a moment. Don't forget Golden Valley Warehouse at 468 West, 1000 South of Burley, 678-7324. And they want to tell thank you to their customers for all their business. And they want to wish you and your family a very happy and safe Thanksgiving. Thank you from Golden Valley Warehouse. These are really, really nice people. Vicky's Country Garden. I'll tell you what, I love the lovely Miss Vicky and her Country Garden store, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. She also wants to thank you for all the business, and don't forget she's got gift certificates for next spring and summer's gardening. You can use them as stocking stuffers for Christmas. Yes, call her, 431-5667, Vicky's Country Garden in Paul. And AMI 719 Overland and Burley. Look for the big 28-foot wrench over their door, and you'll go nuts over their bolts. Absolutely. They're the meat and potatoes of the industry. Alan, Corey, Eric, Rob, the rest of the crew wishing you at AMI a very happy Thanksgiving. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Just one more real quick thing. These pollsters with the elections, when you go make your ballots and stuff and counting the ballots, we have video of people breaking federal laws. Why, I would say send in the federal marshals, gather them up, and say, you broke this law, this law, this law. You're looking at this many years in a federal pen. So are you going to sing and help us, or are you going to go down and let the real people that are telling you to do this escape?
Let me ask you, there's a word that has been taken out of our American vocabulary, I think. Maybe you don't agree. But the word is tough. Tough, T-O-U-G-H, tough. We have lost our toughness. We are not tough anymore. We do not have a very balanced scale of what's wrong is wrong and what's right is right. And if you're on the guilty side, we're going to be tough and we're going to come and get you. Now it's a mamby-pamby approach, slap on the wrist. We've lost our toughness.
Exactly. That's what happens when everybody gets a trophy.
Bingo. I could not agree with you more.
That's what exactly we get. And when this country was formed, and someone committed some treason acts like a lot of people have back in Washington over the last 6, 8 years, 10 years, even longer, what happened to a treasonous back then?
Adios, amigo.
They got shot.
That's right. That's right. And we have turned being a traitor against this United States of America into a kind of, he's sorry.
And my feeling is, once we start enforcing the law equally for everybody, then we're going to stop all of this treasonous and all this backstabbing and everything else back there. Because once a couple of them go down, the others are going to say, whoa, wait a minute. If we're going to do this, we're We're putting our life on the line. Is this worth it?
Yeah, and real quick, I'm going to tell you about the illustrious, wonderful governor role model, Jay Inslee of Washington State. Oh, yes, as of next week, folksies, my friends out there in the audience, Washington State, and especially and specifically the city of Seattle, is going to open up heroin injection sites that are taxpayer funded.
I'm speechless, buddy.
This is insanity of what's going on in this country. We are aiding and abetting drug abuse and hurtful things into our society that are going to hurt people that are honest to God-fearing taxpayers, and they're opening up heroin injection sites. Have we lost our collective minds in this country?
We must have. Because is this how the war on drugs ends? I mean, how much money have we spent on the war on drugs to eliminate drugs and defeat drugs? And we're doing this?
Yeah. I mean, come on in. We're going to shoot you up with heroin. And the good people of Seattle are leaving in droves. I was listening to a report this morning. Office space that is left vacant. Homes that are just absolutely left on the market. We're out of here. We're going to move someplace else. The insanity of what the left is trying to put in our society, we've just seen the tip of the iceberg. But opening up heroin injection sites, we are crazy.
Exactly. And like you say, we deserve what we accept.
Amen. Got to run. Thank you very much. Caller, I know you're going to ask me to come on the air right away, but can you wait just about 60 seconds? I'll get the weather on. I'll be right with you, I promise. Don't forget our weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they have, of course, for you, the best practices and technology for your hearing health. I urge you to call them, make an appointment at 312-0957, and let the professionals in hearing help you. They're right across from the Minidoka County Hospital in back of the emergency room, and they're waiting to serve you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Here's Gina with the weather.
Precipitation is in our forecast, and it's going to be a decent day for today. Mostly cloudy skies is what we're looking at, high of about 57. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of rain showers, possible snow showers up at the higher elevations with the low 41. 50% chance of rain showers for tomorrow. It's a little bit breezy, high of 52. That's going to be tapering off for tomorrow night with a low of about 33 by Thursday. Partly sunny, 46. Friday and Saturday, very nice, but cooler temperatures. Sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the upper 30s. That's look at your weather for Zeb.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody by some wonderful, wonderful people, and that's, of course, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Let me tell you, they are so good. I have had them work for me, and boy, they do a great job. They help my hearing problems. Please don't put it off. Call them for an appointment, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology. Caller, you have been great. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Our school system is responsible for turning out a bunch of sheep instead of programming these kids to make up their own minds and their own decisions. They're having one or two people at the top are telling these people that you have to go kumbaya and you have to become one of the group to survive.
Yeah, Tony, I think of some of the emails and some of the idiocy that I hear directed at me on my cell phone, and much of which I could sum up into a category of they call me a right-wing redneck nut. But you know what? I believe in family values. I believe in God. I believe in what the Bible tells us. And I believe that we are going down the drain if we don't turn this bus around.
Well, the kids have to be taught to think for themselves. And if you take one person that's going to control 10,000 persons, you've got a communist system in place.
Amen. And it's coming, and the left is pushing it right on our plate. You're so right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Tony. Thank you.
Okay, well.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You know, we've chosen South Dakota to be our poster child. You know, the example they set. But the truth is, they just passed in this last election to be able to sell marijuana just like the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in Montana doing the same.
Well, Governor Kristi Noem was not in favor of that, and you know as well as I do that when you get lunatics and idiots in Congress, like we're seeing with the left in the House with Pelosi, etc., strange and weird things get passed on to the American public that absolutely, with any thought of moral value, should never have got off the floor.
Well, and I don't know what Utah's stand is on these things, but I'll be disappointed, very disappointed, if they turn them loose on there.
I'll tell you what, they just absolutely had one part of their election that is a bright hope, and they voted in Burgess Owens as one of their congressmen, and I'll tell you what, Burgess is a good old boy. I've known Burgess for a long, long time. He is from the Oakland Raiders Super Bowl team back in the 70s, and he's going to do a great, great job for the state of Utah. I got to run, Keith. Thank you so much.
You bet, bye.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Keith. Keith and Nancy, super nice people. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, just you were talking about Washington handing out hardcore drugs. So now there's a terrible accident, crime, whatever. Who's at fault?
You know, where is the thinking? I'm so glad you called because I always look forward to your call. But where is the thinking as to what this is going to do to society? What's it going to do to our kids? What's it going to do to our hospitals and our medical staffs? What's it going to do for encouraging more of a absolutely despicable way to live? I mean, where is the thinking?
Exactly. Because you were saying that, and you're driving down the road and somebody's high as a kite and the state shot them up and they give a head on and they kill your family and you're, left in a wheelchair. And whose fault is it?
Yeah, and then
driving the car or the state for shooting him up?
And that howdy-doody puppet called Jay Inslee, that's the governor of Washington, that has the combined gray matter for a brain that looks like an egg yolk that's been on the sidewalk for 3 weeks. He is criticizing our governor and our leadership. What are we talking about here?
Exactly, and they're not punishing crime for now. I mean, punish the crime according to what it was. Don't let them off scot-free. I'm just not to change the subject, but I'm so sick and tired of hearing, a guy raped a 2-year-old and he got, whatever. And yet you get caught with one tiny gram of an ounce or whatever, however they measure marijuana, and you go to jail for 50 years.
Yeah, the laws, the application of the laws, and the severity of the laws is absolutely, in my personal opinion, completely like a flapjack, flipped up and down so many times you don't know which end is up.
Exactly.
Thank you.
The worst crime the last time.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But there again, I'll go back to that statement that Dr. Scott Atlas said, we get what we accept.
Exactly.
Thank you. God bless you. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Have fun with your family.
I intend to.
That great big turkey.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I got time for another call, but I'll do this quickly while I'm waiting for your call. And that's, of course, talk about, brag about, and give you the information about our number one sponsor. And that's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Yes, sir, the best in tires, all the tread designs, all the different sizes for your vehicles. Stop in and check it out today, along with the best in brake service, highly trained brake technicians. They know brakes. Let me tell you, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. They've got all the batteries. Oh yeah. I mean, you're really going to be impressed with the service at all 7 locations. Really great people. James in Buell, Dan on Pole Line and Twin, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family and Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland and Burley. None better. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, the best. I had a really good conversation with a friend of mine that is, he bought some property down in Arizona, and he built a home down there, and took off a couple of weeks ago to reside for the winter months in Arizona. And we were talking on the phone about what a mess, an absolutely despicable mess, our country is in because we do not utilize right and wrong, and then go from there. If it's not right, why are we even giving a listening to or an audience to it? Just say no, put the lid down, and throw it in the trash can. But this country is not able today, thanks to the left and the infiltration of their vermin like Black Lives Matter and Antifa. We're not able to put the garbage can lid up and then throw them away. We have lost a discerning value of right and wrong. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back at about 7 or 8 minutes with Dan Kish with the American Energy Alliance. Then at 9:30, the president of Crime Prevention Research Center talking about the Second Amendment and how it might go by the wayside with Biden. Andrew Pollock's going to be on. Don't miss that. I'll be back in 7. Oh, my. Good morning, good morning. Clouds starting to build up again out there, it looks like. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and service. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia store. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at Georgia store.
Oh, thank you very much. Don't forget, they are there to serve you. Get on the route service. How do you do it? How do you do it? You're sitting there tearing your hair out going, I want to get on the route service. It's easy. Don't worry. Just call 734-6969. Tell them where you live. They'll get everything set up for you, and they'll come by once a week and get rid of your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Want to remind you, too, about some folks that really care about your welfare and about how you live your life. You don't want to sit around and go, oh, that hurts. Oh, I can't move. No. They can help you at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists, I know I go there. They can help you. Believe me, and they've got the hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind in this entire area. Call the number. Make an appointment. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, helping you get back to being you. Another quick note for some people that, I got to tell you this real quick. This Saturday, I got to hurry and get this in. This Saturday, the community prayer rally at Freedom Park next to the Burley Airport and Little League Field is going to start at 2 p.m. on Saturday to unite us as a community for our country. In God we trust. Saturday at 2, don't miss that. Want to remind you, too, quickly about Hanson Mortuary with Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636. And they have the most flexible of hours so that they are there to serve you when you need them. Please remember, always providing the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort and the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. There are quite a few people that come on this program every week, and this next gentleman is one of my favorites because he tells it like it is, doesn't mince any words, doesn't sit there and try to be PC, politically correct. I appreciate that. Dan Kish, American Energy Alliance, how are you?
I'm good, Zeb, and hope you and yours are too.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I'm good. And we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. We're not going to worry about the plates and the number of plates at the table. We are not going to let anybody come in and tell us that you're 11 people and you can only have 10, and somebody's going to draw the short straw and have to eat a frozen turkey leg out by the dog pen. That's not going to happen. I don't know about your house, but it's not going to happen at our house.
No, I'll tell you, Zeb, they're trying to boil a frog here and get us all used to things while they all break the law. I mean, I think we all have heard about Governor Newsom going to one of the most expensive restaurants in the country and breaking all the rules after telling everybody else how they could seat people at their Thanksgiving table and all the rest. It's something else.
I've never in my life, and I'm quite a bit older than you, I assume, Dan. I'm 73 years old. And this sounds really crass for me to say this, but I don't care whose toes I step on. If they're afraid of getting their toes stepped on, they shouldn't be on the dance floor, meaning our politicians. When they're going to say something and do something stupid, I'm going to go after them. And this is stupid.
Yeah, well, it's totally intrusive into families and the way we choose to thank God for
that's right.
Our families and the opportunity to be together and everything else, and here they are sticking their nose into it, and it just sort of feels like they're seeing how far they can push.
I think that's the best analogy I've heard in a long time. I need to get into a little conversation I had with a really dear friend here a couple of days ago on the past weekend. And we were talking about energy. And we were talking about literally the closure and the left-to-decay energy system that we have, whether it's through coal or whether it's through all the fossil fuels, fracking, etc., just to walk away from it. An industry, per se, that is absolutely now number one in the world, and to walk away from it and let it decay in this, the greatest country in the world, I am absolutely boggles my mind how dumb we can be.
Well, this is what happens when a lot of people live off the benefits of something without realizing where it comes from. Same thing happens with agriculture. People who are well-fed in cities and whose food is transported efficiently to them so that they can afford it and eat all the finest things that God has given us, all of a sudden take up against agriculture. They take up against energy. They don't understand how things are made, and therefore they think it's easy to simply stick their fingers in it. And we've got a huge amount of that, and there seems to be an unending thirst for more of it.
It is absolutely mind-boggling to me. When you look at, hold on, caller, I'll be right there, I promise. When you look at the personalities and the lack of education with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, and others, including Bernie Sanders, wild-haired Bernie, etc. They have no idea about Khmer from Sikkim when it comes to living in the rurality of the United States and what goes on out in the rural states to help supply food and other things to the millions that live within the confines of cities.
You you nailed it, Zeb. That's exactly what's going on here. People who don't understand things want to move things around and have no understanding of the consequences of what they're doing and don't link the two.
Well, we've got a caller with a question for you, Dan. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Please go ahead.
Well, I tell you what, right now 75 million people voted for Trump. That was close to 15 million more than in give or take, than in 16. The people showed up. They saw somebody who could lead. They realized that he might be one of the only few men out of all our elected officials that actually cares about America, cares about the hardworking people. And I don't think these people are going to go away with their tail between their legs and allow all this injustice to go on. Now, I don't know how this plays out, the election, but if we somehow do elect Biden and Harris, which is an absolute travesty, then I guess we'd hope to hold our senators' feet to the fire, and hopefully we win these runoffs in Georgia. But the whole thing is so scary that I just know that the people will fight back and hold to it, and who knows what we might accomplish if we do hold our senators' feet to the fire. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, caller. Dan, respond to the caller, please.
Excuse me, Zeb. Sorry, we got stuff in the air here, and it's not from making energy. It's nature, pollen stuff, so I'm clearing my throat.
No, don't apologize, because I'll jump in and help you a little bit here. This time of the year, I am blessed with allergies more so than at any other time of the year, and occasionally you'll hear me cough and hack, and I apologize a lot, so don't worry about that. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Misery loves company. Your caller is exactly right. I'm watching this with trepidation, just like all of us are. I honestly have never seen anything like this, and the more we learn about it, the more it becomes troubling, and I don't think this is what our founders had in mind. And it just, think about it, Zeb. We used to be able to, without computers in this country, figure out these elections.
Yes.
The night of the election.
Yes.
And now we've got all these things, and somehow it seems to take forever, and there are all kinds of problems. I don't know. Something smells fishy to me.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you, it's not the dead carp in the bottom of the boat either. Let me throw this at you. How do we, the American public, how do we fight back against these lefties? Now, here, I'll give you a classic case. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doesn't know Khmer from Sikkim about the rest of the world. She knows how to mix a whiskey sour as a bartender, and she doesn't know anything about agriculture, doesn't know anything about transportation systems all across the United States to get the goods and services to market, etc. How do these people put themselves in the position of dictating to us, how life is going to be when they don't know one damn thing about it? I mean, there's got to be a day of reckoning. There's got to be people saying no. There's got to be, and I've used this 3 times this morning. Dr. Scott Atlas made the greatest quote when he said, "We get what we accept." And I'm not accepting this garbage. So what do we do, Dan?
Right. Well, I think that remains to be seen, Zeb. While we await exactly what happens here. But it's pretty clear that there are a lot of folks who vote these people in who are just as seemingly clueless about these things. I honestly don't think they necessarily care that much about these things. For example, I doubt if AOC's constituents in New York City care much about the production of energy. I think they do because they'll read an article or see something on TV or something. But what they really want is cheap energy prices. And what's happening is that as some of these policies go into effect, like they've gone into effect in California, we're beginning to see the consequences. They're already paying 50% higher electric rates than most people in the United States do. And their system is breaking down, and yet they're going for more of it. So, I don't know. Sometimes you have to let little Tommy touch the hot stove.
Yeah.
After telling him so many times not to. And unfortunately, a lot of people get hurt. But it may be that with the media following the same take on things that AOC and Bernie and the rest of them do, it may be that some people have to get hurt before they finally realize that they've made a big, huge mistake.
Well, let me ask you this, and you're closer to this swamp back on the East Coast than I am. But when you talk about senators and congressmen, and I can relate to even our own, it seems like when they get back there, they are swept up in the hubbub of, oh, I'm so important. Oh, I don't have to pay attention to my constituents. Oh, I am a man above everybody else. They don't pay attention to us, and I don't think they educate themselves as to what's really going on. Would you agree with that assessment or not?
Yeah, Zeb, and the more power we give Washington over our lives, the more we accept that they can tell us, what kind of a washer or dryer we can buy, how many people we can have at the dinner table, the kind of car we can drive, the kind of energy we can use that meets our needs to heat our houses. The more that we accept, the more of it we're going to get. And I hate to say it, but I think a lot of Americans have gotten pretty lazy on that side of things. They've been accepting of these things without recognizing, they go to buy a new dishwasher and it takes 3 hours to do a load and the darn things aren't dry when they're done. And they say, why is this? Gee, they're making these inferior products. Well, that's because somebody like AOC decided that we needed to save energy while washing our dishes, and those people back here in Washington, D.C. didn't care about whether maybe we had to run a second load and didn't want to stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning to do it, that sort of thing. And therein lies the problem. And the companies accept it because as long as they're told what to do and how they can do it and they can make a profit, make more money, they'll do it. That's why they're switching to wind and solar power, despite the fact that they know that it won't meet the needs of a vast industrial and agricultural nation that spreads, that has a huge amount of the world's economic output and all the rest. So I think that's part of it. They get swept up in the power, the prestige, and the rest of it without recognizing that people have real needs out there.
Absolutely. Very well put. Caller, good morning. You're on the air with Dan Kish. Go ahead, please.
Dan, what the problem is...
Hold it a second. Caller, have you got a radio on? Caller, do you have a radio on?
Yeah, I'll shut it off.
Turn it off.
The problem is our lobbyists own all our politicians. That's the problem.
Okay. Go ahead, Dan, and respond to the caller about the lobbyists.
Well, lobbyists certainly have a lot to say about it. I mean, they push these guys and gals in a certain position based on what their clients want them to do. They're hired guns, in essence, to give the best argument for their thing. But that's why politicians need to listen to people. I mean, I think that's one of the things that people really appreciated about President Trump. He didn't really care what Washington thought.
Absolutely.
He didn't even care what Wall Street thought.
Absolutely.
He saw Wall Street going up in terms of the numbers is a good thing because so many people own 401ks and that sort of thing, and it would help them out with their economics. But when push came to shove, he wasn't going to just allow huge amounts of cheap labor into the United States, undercut wage rates for working Americans, and he wasn't going to allow everything to be offshored to China and other places just so somebody on Wall Street or Silicon Valley could make an extra buck. And that's why they hate him so much.
I think it would be, and I want you to respond to this, Dan, I think it is unfair to make a condemnation or negative remark about all lobbyists because many, many lobbyists and many, many causes are helped because of lobbyists. I think we have to pick and choose the good, bad, and the ugly. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure. And you know, for every lobbyist, there is a lobbyist on the other side fighting. It's sort of like a town with one lawyer. You know, the guy will starve, and if you put two in there, they're both going to get rich, and that's what happens with lobbying. People basically take a position and push for it. Unfortunately, some of the biggest forces in that whole field now are coming from these high-tech industries that are located on the West Coast.
Right.
Specifically Silicon Valley and that sort of thing, where they're making untold amounts of money and just hiring reams of lobbyists to push their position on everything. And honestly, they don't understand what goes on in America either.
Let me ask you, I've only got a minute left, and I want to get a short answer on this, Dan. Being where you are back on the East Coast, what are you hearing as far as the administration of Biden and Harris, if everything goes and they are certified to be the president and the vice president, what are you hearing as far as rumblings, as far as what they really want to throw at the American public on green energy right after January 20th? What are some of the rumblings?
Well, one thing is clear. The first thing a President Biden would do would be to sign us up, probably on the first day, to the Paris Climate Treaty, or Accords. They won't call it a treaty because they won't submit it to the Senate. But so that puts us under the UN, and they can start bossing us around, and environmental groups here can start suing the federal government because if we don't meet certain standards that the UN wants us to, they can take it to court here, and we'll start plowing money, taxpayers' money, into renewable energy around the world, not just here, as we're already subsidizing it. So that's one of the things. That'll drive up the cost of energy. He says he's not going to have any federal land leasing, which out west is a huge deal. Will hurt a lot of small communities where those are the best jobs going. And so that's a start.
Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it, old buddy, if all of this had been discussed and brought before the American public before the election, that Biden wouldn't have stood a snowball's chance in the oven.
I think my guess is that if Biden becomes president, a lot of people are going to be very, very surprised that they didn't know that these things were coming, and they're going to be questioning whether they did the right thing.
Amen. Dan, I hope that all goes well for you during the next week. Take care of those allergies like I do. I suck on cough drops all 3 hours. Anyway, God bless you, man. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks, Ed. God bless you. you.
All right, Dan Kish, American Energy Alliance, a dear, dear friend of this program. Appreciate him. Okie doke, let's go real quick. Your home is the one place where everything should be perfect, including your air. Ramsey Heating and Electric helps you achieve the perfect air you deserve with reliable, groundbreaking, award-winning Lennox products. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today and see about getting a Lennox home comfort system installed in your home. Call them 678-0459 or visit ramseysonline.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Happy Thanksgiving. Excuse me, there goes my throat again. Happy Thanksgiving from Mountain Transmissions, 1146 East Main in Burley. You've got transmission problems, you put it in drive and you back through the garage door, you better get a hold of them today. 678-9110. And that's Mountain Transmissions. And Clark's for Shopping. What wonderful people up at 100 East Main Street in Oakley with, of course, that great sausage, the famous Clark's breakfast sausage, Grandma's secret recipe. It is great. You stop up, see those folks, take home some sausage and enjoy Thanksgiving morning. 862-3364. Clark's for Shopping, 100 East Main in Oakley. We are going to have another guest on in just a very few moments. Stand by for that. I want to remind you, too, about our dear friends at Let's Ride. Get your motor running. Always keep your motor running with snow machines, snowmobiles, and all the accessories from Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, boy. They've got a showroom full of fun. You stop over and check it out today. Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2. And along with all the snow machines and all the fun for up in the hills, they've got a fantastic service department to keep you running. Stop over or give them a call at 436-4771. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Absolutely. While you're over in that area, please do not forget our dear friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Oh, boy, they're on Highway 24, too, right on the curve going into Rupert. Can't miss them. Number to call, 436-4424. They are there to serve you with the best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits. I mean, Todd and that staff are absolutely excellent in service. Very accessible, very devoted to you. Call them. Make an appointment, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. One more word before I run out of gas, and that's, of course, talking about our dear friends at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Absolutely. 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls, and delicious turkey dinners with delicious pies. What fantastic menu choices for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and all the desserts. Oh, make you drool. Great food. America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those really, really nice folks today. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and our next guest is all ready. He is the president of Crime Prevention Research Center, and I believe I've had him on the program before. Andrew Pollock. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Good to have me on today.
It is. It's extremely my pleasure, and a little bit of feedback on the line, Sean. If you could back that off just a little bit, I'd appreciate it. Andrew, I want to get right to the nuts and bolts of what you do with the Crime Prevention Research Center. What is your main job every day when you open up your office?
Well, the main job is to educate American people into the right statistics on crime, what actually works, and they could look it up on crimeresearch.org, the different gun laws that are trying to be passed, crime statistics in different states. Even we just did an article on mail-in ballots that's very interesting. How it's banned in Europe, most countries in Europe, and most third world countries ban mail-in ballots because they know that there's too much corruption involved with it.
I hope you don't mind if I...
Active shooters, what laws actually work, and different gun laws, to look into it to see what would work, what doesn't work, background checks, what they're trying to push government. So I urge every citizen that's listening to get on that website and take a look at what we have to offer, all the different articles and all the research that we do and that we put into them.
Andrew, let me ask you this, and this is kind of a ballpark question, but really a lot of people are thinking this. Where are we right now in this United States of America with an election that is continuing and should continue to divide us? I don't believe in the net result of what happened. I don't believe in the Biden and Harris combo taking over the White House. I don't believe in the leftist approach that they're going to throw on the American public. What are your thoughts? Where are we now?
There's 73 million pissed off Americans. That's where I think we are, and we don't believe it, and we're waiting. We're going to have the judicial system work its way through. All the evidence work its way through, and I'm hopeful that the president's going to stay another 4 years. I speak to the president, administration all the time, and they're telling me keep the faith of what's going to come out, and that's what we got to hope for. Wasn't it terrible the way they attacked? I was just listening how they attacked those citizens. Elderly people went to a peaceful protest and they attacked them, going back to their hotels, back to their cars. A Biden-Kamala administration is just going to be more and more of it, more defunding the police, having the police stand down. So we're all pissed off, but we're going to wait and see the due process. We're not going to jump to any conclusions yet, like mainstream media, how biased they are. Now we even see how Fox flipped. People aren't even watching Fox right now for what they have done. So I think it's a wait and see. We have a few more weeks of this, and everyone's praying. Everyone I speak to is praying that we get this president. And what's really worrisome, too, is those Senate races are still going on in Georgia, and the integrity of our whole system. We live in a free country, America, home of the free, home of the brave, land of the free. We should be able to, our vote should count, right? That's the way I look at it. Who's going to want to vote again if they don't show all this corruption that happened now?
Absolutely.
A Republican will never win again if this president can't come out victorious.
Absolutely.
No other Republican's going to win in this type of system.
Absolutely. Andrew, there is no doubt about it that the Biden-Harris team, and I hate to even give them that kind of recognition, if they do take over as leadership in this country, months ago, when Biden did take an interview out of his basement, he was asked about the confiscation of guns, and he said, bingo. He looked at the camera and said, bingo, we will get them. That must have run a lot of concern up your backbone.
I'm never, I'm just going to be an outlaw like all of us. If that happens, I'm not giving my guns up. Look, what happened to my daughter was murdered in Parkland on the 3rd floor. No one went in the building to save her. Hundreds of calls to 911, and she was shot 9 times. And the police hid behind their cars that day. So I'm never giving anything that I have up. They're not going to take it from me, because I always want to be able to defend my family, my loved ones, and my friends. So that's so important to me. But what he also said that's just as bad is being able to sue the gun manufacturers. Mm-hmm. That's the route they're going to take. And then it's going to put them all out of business. Or we'll pay for an AR will be $15,000, or semi-auto we'll be paying that much money for rifles, because they're not going to be able to afford to stay in business. A criminal goes out and commits a crime, and they're going to make it so the victims could sue the gun manufacturer. It's ridiculous. That's as bad as a confiscation.
Let me throw one other fly into the milk here, Andrew, because I really appreciate your opinion on this. But there's another approach I think they're going to use, and that's to be very, very closure with their attitude on the processing and manufacturing of ammunition. What would you say to that?
It's ridiculous, because I know in certain states, and I live in Oregon now, and it was funny. I know you're in Idaho, and they wanted to branch off my county into Idaho, and that would have been great. I live in Jackson County, Oregon now. I bought a ranch, so I'm pretty close to where you are. But they started. I saw some laws getting passed for background checks just to buy ammo.
Yeah.
I don't know where they come up with these things. If criminals want to get ammo, they're going to get ammo. You're only going to affect the law-abiding citizens when it comes to ammo. Look, now you can't even get ammo. It's like impossible, to get ammo. But I don't think it's going to happen, but it could happen. You know what I mean? Look what happens in Georgia. Anything is possible if we lose the Senate. But they're threatening. I know they put some bills in Florida when I lived there to try and put background checks on ammunition. And the same thing, I think it's in California now already. You can't buy ammo. So it could happen. So that's why it's so important to vote. People, conservatives got to get out and vote. And you know what's crazy is I think we all did go out and vote, but it's rigged. So hopefully that's all going to come out, and we could have some fair elections moving forward.
Let me ask you this, and give me just the gracious amount of time to kind of lay this on the table for you. I'm going to protect my family. I'm going to protect my property. And that means, yes, I do have a firearm. Because I can have me or my wife call 911, and it's going to take a certain amount of time, especially living in a rural area, to get any help whatsoever for the crime that's being perpetrated against us. I will not subject my family to not being able to protect myself, but yet the police are doing all they can. I would like you to direct some comments at our police forces that they're trying to disband.
Yeah, well, I'm in the same boat as you. For me, if I called, I don't even have cell service where I live, but if I called 911, you'd think it's about 45 minutes.
Right.
So, did you ever hear of the 3 S's?
Many times.
So that's what, when you live out in the country, it's the 3 S's. And the people that live out there. And, like I said, I can't call 911. And I'm like you, we're going to defend myself. And I have a beautiful Belgian Malinois living with me, Sonny, who is also very helpful living out there. So, yeah, we're not going to, I don't think we're going to follow anything they say. So I'm with you. We have to defend our family. Look, like I said, my daughter got murdered. The only people that went in that school were 2 unarmed coaches. Okay? The other police, and I support law enforcement everywhere. My good friends are in law enforcement. But that day, they called 911, and they didn't go in. So why should we ever have to count on 911 to defend our family or loved ones, friends? So I'm with you. No, we're not going to give anything up. So.
Amen. Amen. We have a caller with a comment. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I want to know what good it does to vote if the votes are corrupt when they count them. Why can't we get a just system in our country where everybody shows an ID to vote and the counts are done on a certain day and not beyond that day? Military can get their votes in early. There's no question about that. I've been part of the military, and when we voted, we didn't have to wait till voting day to vote and then mail it.
Absolutely. Jerry, I appreciate your call. Andy, if you would, respond to the caller, please. I totally agree that we need to tighten up our voting.
I agree, because everything is on the line with this election. If we don't believe in this election, then what is the purpose of voting? So that's why we have to have this process right now, and we have to stand with our president and make sure that our elections are truthful. Third world countries don't do mail-in ballots. Go on our website. Look up the article. Europe, they banned mail-in ballots in many of the countries, all because of this corruption. And why should we be subjected to it? But if you look into it, these Democrat policies, this is what they push, because they know they can manipulate it. And then throw into the Dominion and the Smartmatic software. I really hope and pray that this comes out, because for years prior, nothing's ever been proven, and no one's been held accountable, with all this Russian collusion, with impeaching our president, with Comey, with the 30,000 emails. Nothing's ever came out that really held these people accountable. So I'm hoping, that we have something different this time around with this election.
Let me say this, Andy, and see if you agree with me or not, but I think Trump, while he was in office, even though he was besieged and beleaguered with a left that was always trying to find something they could throw him out of the Oval Office with, he did do something, and he started building a backbone in the spines of the Republican congressmen and senators. And I think now, if the left takes over, we're going to see a diminishment of that backbone, and we're going to be back at square one with a bunch of three-piece suits and wingtip shoes that won't do anything.
Yes, rhinos, we call them, right?
Yep.
So I'm with you. Right now is the time. There's no middle of the road. You're either conservative or you're not. You got to go. You're either support our president or you don't. 73 million people support him. So I look, if you're not supporting him now, they're going to have a problem when it comes to re-election, okay, and they get primaried by a real conservative, these rhinos who want things to go back to normal. Now's the time. We want people like a Matt Gaetz speaking out, Senator Scott from Florida. Certain senators are speaking up, and we need that support, and the president needs us more than ever right now, because he's always fought for us over the last 4 years. He puts America first. That's why we love him. So he needs the support, and the rhinos that don't support him now, anyone, when they come up for election, they're going to get primaried. And if the president endorses them, I think they're going to have a rough time getting reelected.
Let me ask you one final thought here, and speak directly to me and the audience, etc. What can we do on a grassroots level to become more powerful and get our voices heard?
Well, right now, everything is riding in Georgia, right? I know there's we could support them by donating to some of those candidates, those senators, Kelly Loeffler. I don't know the website, but even if you could send $10, $5 to their to support them, because they really need it, and without them, our Second Amendment's is really gonna get attacked. We heard he's gonna hire that O'Rourke, or Beto O'Rourke, coming for our ARs and AKs. People like that we're gonna have to deal with, and the only buffer we're gonna have is the Senate. So and hopefully the president comes through. But support those senators in Georgia. I know it's on the other side of the country for everyone, but even if you could send $5 or $10, they really need it, and it's going to make a difference. If we lose the Senate, I don't know where we're going to end up.
All I can say is I thank you for the job you do, and now that you're a neighbor of ours, I don't want to give away your location or anything, but what town are you fairly close to that I can relate to in your county?
Oh, it's fine. I'm near Medford.
Okay.
You know where Medford is?
Very much, yes.
I moved to Medford. My wife's family is from Northern California, Redding, and I wouldn't live with a California address. I just couldn't do it to myself. So I moved. I'm in a rural county, and it's very important. Your county, which way it is, which way it leans, is almost more important than the state. For instance, I lived in Broward County. Florida's solid red, majority, a super majority Republican. But I lived in the worst cesspool of a county called Broward, where my daughter was murdered. So it really goes by the county, and people always ask me, well, how did you move to Oregon? Well, my county's very rural, and I got nice people around, nice conservative values where I live, and I'm enjoying it. I have about 350 acres. I told everyone I traded in Democrats where I lived in Broward for goats.
There you
Now I have these goats running around my property instead of Democrats, and the goats are a lot smarter.
Amen. Andrew Pollock, God bless you, man, the president of Crime Prevention Research Center. You got to promise to come back, and in the interim, I'm going to say to you, happy Thanksgiving, sir.
Okay, thank you. Same to you.
All right, sir. Thank you much. Andrew Pollock with the Crime Prevention Research Center. And I really enjoyed having him come on the program and talking about our Second Amendment, what very possibly may happen with Biden and Harris if they do take over the White House, and we're going to have him back talking about our Second Amendment and our rights to protect ourselves. I better protect myself and get the weather on here. I'm running late, and the sponsor is Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company, and they have been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Oh, the professionals, the best in tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, payroll services, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. They've got offices in Burley and Rupert serving you, your family, and your business. Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Precipitation is in our forecast, and it's going to be a decent day for today. Mostly cloudy skies is what we're looking at. High of about 57. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of rain showers, possible snow showers up at the higher elevations with the low 41. 50% chance of rain showers for tomorrow. It's a little bit breezy, high of 52. That's going to be tapering off for tomorrow night with a low of about 33 by Thursday. Partly sunny, 46. Friday and Saturday, very nice, but cooler temperatures. Sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the upper 30s. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Rain.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by my friends, the professionals, and that's Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to you for over 50 years. They are the best at what they do. They can help you. Please get a hold of them today. 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company. Wow, a lot of things cooking today, and for the rest of this week and next week, of course, we will be celebrating Thanksgiving. Yes, I mean that. We're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. We're not going to sit at home. I'm an old man. And, of course, I married a much younger bride, but I'm an old man that it relishes being with my family, relishes sitting there and talking to my grandsons and finding about what they're doing or what's going on in their lives. I'm not going to sit home and hermitize myself and not go anywhere. Oh, I can't go. Why, we might have 11 people at the table. Why, 10 is only acceptable. We'll have to draw a short straw and that person has to leave. Are you kidding me? The idiocy and incompetency that's going on in this country is absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, I know where there's some sanity that exists, and it's over at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley, with Curtis and Lorena. And they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and they've got all your electronics needs. I mean, they've got pieces of equipment and everything that I haven't got a clue even what they are. I mean, but they do. And they can explain it, too. They've got Sony car speakers at just $49.99, and they've got all your TV sets. I mean, Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. They've got all your video surveillance cameras. Oh, the list goes on and on. As I said, they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and they're located at 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis and Lorena at Patterson's Electronics, 678-6997. Okay, and another good word, and then I've got time for a phone call. Give me a call, please. I'd love to hear from you. Calm me down a little bit. I get so incensed. There was a sheriff, I got to tell you, There was a sheriff back in New York State on television this morning at about, I think it was about 4:45. And they were interviewing him about whether or not he would abide by the dictates of the absolute Looney Tunes governor, Cuomo, in going into people's homes on their private property, knocking on the door and getting a head count of how many people are celebrating Thanksgiving. Can you believe this? And the sheriff looked right at the camera and said, "We will not be doing this. I am not going to embarrass my manpower, my deputies, to have to get search warrants to check on numbers of family celebrating Thanksgiving." God bless that sheriff and anybody else that's a sheriff that has the guts to stand up and tell these idiots that are supposedly running the states, "You don't know Khmer from Sikkim." Calm down, Zeb. Don't forget, your home is the one place where everything should be perfect, including your air. Ramsey Heating and Electric can help you achieve the perfect air you deserve with reliable, groundbreaking, award-winning Lennox products. Don't forget to call Ramsey Heating and Electric and check out the Lennox home comfort systems that'll help improve your health. Don't forget to call them 678-0459 or visit Ramsey'sOnline.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric. You know, we all, absolutely all of us, need to get up in arms and just say no. No, we're not going to abide by that. No, it's not a law. It's a decree. It's nothing that we have to abide by. I am not going to subject myself or my family into not celebrating Thanksgiving, and you know that these three-piece suits are going to come after us and say, well, you can't have Christmas. If you do your shopping, do it online, stay away from the stores, don't go anywhere, and if you're going to celebrate Christmas, maybe 5 or 6 people. I can't live like that. Nobody should. Nobody should. We should all be very self-conscious and very concerned about our health and about cleanliness with the washing of our hands, and of course trying to social distance. If you see somebody coughing and hacking, naturally go away real fast. Wearing a mask in situations to where you would be exposed to that kind of germ warfare, but no way. No, and I don't think any family is going to send somebody that's a whooping and a coughing and a sneezing and a blowing to sit down at the table on Thanksgiving Day. That's just common sense and common courtesy not to expose others to your ills. But there you have the problem. Common sense, which our government leadership has none. I'll be back in 7 minutes. We were just talking, Ken and I, about the problems of the world, and if you would give us just a small amount of time, like maybe 24 hours, we'd cure a lot of those problems. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and, of course, service. And we also want to acknowledge our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Another quick reminder, don't forget your home is the one place where everything should be perfect, including your air. Breathe in, breathe out. Ramsey Heating and Electric helps you achieve the perfect air you deserve. So check it out with the groundbreaking, award-winning Lennox products, and call Ramsey Heating and Electric. See how you can get a Lennox home comfort system in your home. Don't forget, call them at 678-0459 or visit Ramsey'sOnline.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for the details. And one more note, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ken. By golly, Dr. Dr. History. Don't forget the pre-Black Friday sale. Listen to this at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. Run. Don't walk. Run. Down there right now. 459 Overland and Burley. No money down. No interest. Up to 48 months on approved credit. Oh, have they got some money savers for you. Up to 50% off. My goodness sakes, on the retail price. You can't believe this. The great big herd. A big herd of recliners and all the sofas and the sectionals and the dining room tables and dining room sets. Oh, the list goes on. A carpet. I mean, what kind of great prices on the carpet. Don't miss a minute of it. Stop in today to Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And now, ladies and gentlemen, shuffling his papers like he was a dealer at Las Vegas, here we go with the world-famous Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb.
How's my friend?
I'm good.
Before we get started, you and I share the same kind of thoughts on the idiocy that's being perpetrated on the American public. Doesn't it just kind of make your deodorant wear off?
I don't use it.
Oh, I know. That was a subtle hint that maybe you could start.
Okay, I got it. I got it. You don't have to say anymore.
Okay.
So I got to say hi to a few people. Brad, who is a mechanic and also somewhat of a remodeler. He asked if I would come out and help him with his drywall work. And Brad, you do not want me to help you with your drywall work.
I was going to make a suggestion that they neither one of us.
And Michael suggested I do a story on the Lincoln County War and another story on Bass Reeves. And today I'm going to do a story on Bass Reeves.
Who's Bass Reeves?
You'll know.
Well, tell me.
No, not until we get to it.
Okay.
You just anticipate.
I'm wild with anticipation.
All right. So another listener, Matt, he suggested we do a story on the Chavez murders, and I've looked into that a bit. But I got a really interesting one from Joshua in River Falls, Wisconsin.
Oh, I know where that is. I've been there many times.
Okay. So he sent me some pictures. You know, last week we did the story of Laura Ingalls Wilder.
Yeah.
And he sent me some pictures of her original log cabin, a record that shows where they voted in an election. He showed me a picture of the Ingalls family Bible that has their genealogy.
Now, he heard that program last week, and he sent you all that stuff.
Yeah, some pictures.
Well, the least you could do is invite him out here on an all-expense paid trip to Paul.
Okay, I'll put it on your credit card.
There you go.
So, Bass Reeves, you have never heard of this guy?
I have, I think, but I can't remember why.
Right, well, you'll know a lot more about him in a few minutes.
I'm quivering.
All right, so July 1838, he was born. He was an American law enforcement officer. He was the first black deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi River.
Really?
He worked mostly in Arkansas and the Oklahoma Territory, and during his career, he had on his record more than 3,000 arrests of dangerous criminals, shot and killed 14 of them in self-defense. Now, Reeves was actually born into slavery in Arkansas in 1838, and he was named after his grandfather, Bass Washington Reeves, and his family were enslaved by Arkansas state legislator William Steele Reeves.
Don't you just like that name? It sounds tough.
I do.
Bass Reeves.
Yeah. And when Bass was 8, William Reeves moved to Texas. Now, keep in mind, a lot of times slaves took on the name of their owners, the last name. So it appears possible that Reeves was kept in bondage by William Steele Reeves' son, a guy by the name of Colonel George R. Reeves, who was a sheriff and legislator in Texas. When the American Civil War began, George Reeves, Bass's owner, joined the Confederate Army, and he took Bass with him as a soldier. Now, it's unclear how and exactly when Bass Reeves left his owner, but at some point during the Civil War, he gained his freedom. Now, one account recalls how Bass Reeves and George Reeves had an altercation over a card game. Bass kind of severely beat his owner, and he fled to the native territory where he lived among the Cherokee, the Creeks, and the Seminoles. And Bass stayed with the native tribes and learned their languages until he was actually freed by the 13th Amendment, which, of course, abolished slavery in 1865.
Now, what was he, about 20-something then?
Let's see. That would have been 1865.
So he'd have been about 26, 27 years old.
Yeah, somewhere in
roughly.
there. Yeah. So as a free man, Reeves moved to Arkansas and farmed near a place called Van Buren. Now, Reeves and his family farmed until 1875 when Isaac Parker was appointed federal judge for the Natives Territory. Isaac Parker, the hanging judge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parker appointed a guy by the name of James F. Fagan as U.S. Marshal, directing him to hire 200 deputy U.S. Marshals. Now, Fagan had heard about Reeves, who knew the territory and could speak several native languages. So, obviously, he would have been a prime candidate to go after. So, he did. He recruited him as a deputy. Now, Reeves was the first black deputy to serve, as I said, west of the Mississippi River. Reeves was assigned as a deputy U.S. Marshal for the Western District of Arkansas, which had responsibility also for the Native Reservation Territory, and he served there until 1893.
I get a picture in my mind's eye of this guy looking like a Steelers linebacker.
Okay, take a look.
I got to see what this guy looks like. Oh, yeah, he does look like a Steelers linebacker.
Yeah, I would not want to face him.
He's a big dude.
No. So, Reeves worked for 32 years as a federal peace officer in the Indian Territory and became one of Judge Parker's most valued deputies. Reeves brought in some of the most dangerous criminals of the time. He was never wounded, despite having his hat and belt shot and off on several occasions.
Really?
So he came close to catching a bullet here and there. Now, in addition to being a marksman with a rifle and a revolver, Reeves developed superior detective skills during his long career. And when he retired in 1907, Reeves had on his record, like I said, over 3,000 arrests of felons. He killed 14 outlaws and in self-defense, just to defend his life. Now, Reeves had to arrest his own son for murder.
Oh, my goodness.
Benjamin, or they called him Benny Reeves, was charged with the murder of his own wife.
Oh.
So this was tough.
Wow.
But Deputy Marshal Reeves, he was disturbed. He was shaken by the incident, but demanded the responsibility of bringing Benny to justice. Now, Benny was eventually tracked and captured. He was tried and convicted. He served 11 years at Fort Leavenworth in Kansas before his sentence was commuted. He reportedly lived the rest of his life as a model citizen.
How come only 11 years?
Who knows? You don't know really all the circumstances of, the situation of the murder and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but when Oklahoma became a state in 1907, Bass Reeves, now he's 68 years old, became an officer of the Muskogee Police Department. He served for 2 years before he became too sick and he retired.
See, that's what Merle Haggard wrote about. The Okie from Muskogee.
Oh, yeah. Well, that could have been him.
Could have been Bass.
Yeah. But Reeves was himself once charged with murdering a cook.
A cook?
A cook. He
wanted it medium rare instead of well done.
No, the story goes that the cook threw some hot grease at Bass's dog.
Are you kidding me? You don't do that to a dog.
No, and he didn't care for that, and somehow or another he ended up killing the cook. Now, I don't know if the cook pulled a gun or... Anyway, at his trial before Judge Parker, Reeves reported to have shot by mistake while cleaning his gun.
He was cleaning the gun at the table?
Wherever.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
You kind of left me there for a minute.
Kind of accidentally shot him and actually...
right between the eyes.
Yeah, it was an accident.
My gun. And really, as poor a shot as you and I are, that's probably what would happen.
Yeah. But he was represented by former United States Attorney, a guy named Clayton, who was a colleague and a friend, and eventually was believed. He was acquitted. But possibly part of that was because of his exceptional record as a lawman.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he did have an exceptional record, but his health began to fail further after retiring.
No, he was about 70 this time.
Yeah, around 70. But he died of a condition called Bright's disease, which is a kidney-type disease, in 1910. Now, Bass Reeves was married twice. He had 11 children in the year of 1860.
I'll bet they had to be good cooks.
Oh, and good kids, for the most part. But in the year of 1864, he married a gal by the name of Nellie Jenny. And after her death, he married a gal by the name of Winnie Sumter. And his children were named Newland Benjamin, or Benny, the one that got put in jail.
Yeah.
George, Lula, Robert, Sally, Edgar, Bass Jr., Harriet, Homer, and Alice.
How many kids was that? I lost count.
11 children.
Holy smokes.
But anyway, he was a great uncle of a guy named Paul L. Brady, who became the first black man appointed as a federal administrative law judge in 1972.
Wow.
His great-great-great-grandson is National Hockey League player Ryan Reeves. Now, I'm not a hockey fan.
Oh, I've heard that name.
But I'm sure some of our listeners that are hockey fans would probably recognize that name, Ryan Reeves.
Now, let me ask you a question quick. Now, did he retire and reside in Muskogee, Oklahoma?
He was... I'll see if I've got that here somewhere.
I've been there many times, and that's why I was wondering.
Okay. Well, there's a historian named Art Burton, and he stated that Bass Reeves was the inspiration for the character of the Lone Ranger. And I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. But he makes his argument based on the sheer number of people that Reeves arrested without taking any serious injury. No, he never really got hurt, coupled with the fact that many of these arrested were put in jail in the Detroit House of Correction, the same city where the Lone Ranger radio plays were broadcast on WXYZ. Now, there's a footnote that says this theory is disputed. So take that for what it's worth.
The only other lawman that you've had stories on that said that he went through his entire law career and shot at many times and never hit, help me, I think it was Wyatt Earp.
That could be. That does sound right, yeah. Well, now, so in later years, in 2011, the U.S. Highway 62 bridge, which spans the Arkansas River between Muskogee and Fort Gibson, Oklahoma, was renamed the Bass Reeves Memorial Bridge.
Well, I'm going to drive over there this afternoon and see that.
Just see that. And then in May of 2012, a bronze statue of Reeves by Oklahoma sculptor Harold Holden was put up in Pendergraft Park in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
No kidding.
And in 2013, he was inducted into the Texas Trail of Fame.
There you go. Now. You had a story about a year ago. It's ringing true. And you were talking about the Texas lawman, and you mentioned Bass Reeves during that broadcast.
Okay.
I remember that.
All right. So now I've got a couple of stories from eyewitnesses about him. We've got enough time here. I'm going to go through these.
I want to hear more.
So the Oklahoma Native Americans, the Indians, they did not like the white men.
Oh, really?
For reasons we could get into. Reeves, who could communicate in their own language, was able to readily uncover information that was unavailable to the white officers. He was also clever at disguises and undercover work, and he often returned to Fort Smith with his prison wagon packed with prisoners. So when it says he was good at disguises, that really makes my imagination run kind of wild.
Maybe that was the stem of the growth of the Lone Ranger type thing.
Well, and that could be, again. Now, Oklahoma homesteader Harvey Lovelady remembered Reeves as, quote, the most feared U.S. Marshal that was ever heard of in that country. And this guy Lovelady also mentioned that several times Reeves killed his prisoners, but, quote, he didn't want to spend so much time in chasing down the man who resisted arrest, so he would shoot him down in his tracks.
What made him so tough? I mean, what were the attributes that made him so tough and so feared? I mean, was he a crack shot or what?
Well, he developed that later in life. But, you know, as I mentioned, he grew up as a slave. And obviously, you know, they worked hard. And I think this guy just was a tough, hardworking man that when he took on a job, he worked hard at it. Now, there was another incident related by a gal by the name of Nancy E. Pruitt, and she was a settler in the Creek Nation. And she says, quote, "One time, Reeves went after two men and knew when he left that if he didn't kill them, they would kill him, for it would be impossible to bring them back alive. When Reeves located the fugitives, he lulled them in with a trick, then shot them dead before they could draw on him." Quote, "That looks like a cold-blooded murder to us now, but it was really quick thinking and bravery," recalled this Mrs. Pruitt. Now, here's a little more about him. Reeves armed himself with a Winchester, a double-barreled shotgun, and a brace of revolvers, which of course means two, right? Which he wore butts forward because he could draw faster when the butts were facing forward. His proudest accomplishment as an officer was stopping the terrible things going on by a guy by the name of Bob Dozier, who was a farmer who had turned into a thief, a rustler, and a murderer. Reeves located Dozier in the Cherokee Nation, but the outlaw tried to shoot his way to freedom, and after an exchange of gunfire, Reeves collapsed into the mud. Okay, so he's down. He was faking a mortal wound while tightly gripping his cocked six-gun.
Just like the movies.
Dozier emerged from his cover, walked towards Reeves, who suddenly sprang back to life, and ordered the outlaw to surrender. Dozier tried to bring up his gun, but Reeves fired first, killing the fugitive with a bullet in the neck.
I'll be darned.
So one more story.
Okay.
Okay. As I said, he was relentless in pursuit of criminals. I mean, if he was on your trail, you better know that he's going to get you.
Might be easier just to build a fire, make a pot of coffee, and say, come on in.
Yeah, come on in. Here's my guns. But anyway, Reeves proved cool and brave under fire. In 1884, while in pursuit of an outlaw by the name of Jim Webb, Reeves rode into gunfire from the wanted man's Winchester rifle. The first shot clipped his saddle horn. That's getting pretty close.
Yeah.
The second tore a button off his coat. That's a little closer. And the third round cut his bridle reins.
No, we got a problem.
Yeah. Now, continuing to fire, Webb charged on foot, but Reeves pulled out his own Winchester and pumped two bullets into the outlaw's chest.
He must have been a pretty good shot.
He had to be,
because those old guns, let me tell you, there was a lot of recoil. I mean, it wasn't like they show on the movies where they just hold them like a 22, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you're moving around, dancing around. You know, a few years ago, I was buying a horse from a guy out by Twin, and he was a champion horseback shooting champion from horseback.
Yeah.
And when I went out to get the horse or look at it, I said, I want to watch you do this. And he said, oh, no. He says, you get on here and I'll let you try it. And I thought, oh, great. I probably shoot the horse or shoot me or...
For some reason, I don't trust you.
So, well, you know, they're not real bullets. They're kind of like a...
I know they're they're made out of like
walnut shell.
Yeah, walnut shells, yeah.
So he had this course set up in his corral with balloons on it.
And you did it.
And he put two Colt 45s, and they're right in front on my chest and my stomach. And the horse I was riding was a really good neck reiner, so I didn't have to worry about... I could just use my fingers to neck rein that horse. Yeah. And I went through there and he said...
There he is, Wild Bill Turner.
Yeah, and when I first started, he said, well, wait a minute, you got to go faster than that.
What were you doing, walking?
Well, I was trotting.
I see.
He said, no, you got to at least get into a gallop. And I did, and I've got to say, Zeb, I went through... And I got 9 out of the 10 balloons.
You did?
I did.
And plus the pigeons on the rafters.
Yeah, and it was outside.
Oh.
But it was amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but and then he went out and showed me how you really do it. And so, I mean, obviously so much faster, but it was fun. I got to tell you.
You had a good time.
I did. I didn't.
You'd have been alive and well in the Old West.
I didn't shoot the horse, and I didn't buy the horse either.
Working for Bass Reeves.
That's right. So that's the story of Bass Reeves, and.
Is he the guy? I got to ask you this question. I remember little bits and pieces, but was he the guy that was the real strict lawman? But one of the people that he arrested and sent to prison, when he went to prison, he said, "When I get out, I want to go work for Bass Reeves as a deputy." Do you remember that?
I do not. That
for some reason that rang a bell with me.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but. Oh. Obviously, he was well respected not only among the people he caught, but also among the other officers.
So he died at almost 80 years old, I guess, right?
Something like that. Yeah. He was born in 1838 and died in 1910.
I think so. Yeah.
So he was up there.
He was up there. He must almost your age.
he must have on yours. But he must have been in really good shape,
wow.
to live that many years. And at age 68, he went to work as a for the Muskogee Police Department at age 68.
Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Muskogee Police Department.
Wow.
And he served 2 years. He served until he was 70 there.
Wow. I'll tell you what, I enjoyed that story because I do remember a little bit about you talking about Bass Reeves in Texas. I remember that.
Well, and I want to thank our listeners like Michael who suggested that story, and I appreciate it. I've got a list of stories to do that people have suggested, and I'm going to slowly work through that list.
Good man. Good man. I'll be with you in just a second. I want to remind everybody, happy Thanksgiving from Rain for Rent, 134 South, 600 West Highway 27 in Paul. Number to call, and you'd better because they are your Reinke Pivot Sales and Service Dealer, 438-5065. And they want to take the time right now to wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving from Rain for Rent. And our old buddy, emphasis on the word old, Doug at Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Hebron. This is a good old boy, let me tell you. Remember the true meaning of the season of giving thanks. And also remember our senior centers, Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair, 635 21st Street in Hebron, 431-5282. Happy Thanksgiving. We're going to send this back over to our main studios right now. We'll be back with more in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
And let's see, what else have I got to tell you about real quick? I think I'm all done, except I want to remind you about everything in your home should be perfect, including your air. Ramsey Heating and Electric helps you achieve the perfect air you deserve with reliable, groundbreaking, award-winning Lennox products. Don't forget, call Ramsey Heating and Electric today and check out the Lennox Home Comfort System at 678-0459 or visit RamseysOnline.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Right now, we are going to go to the phone line. If I get my yes?
Okay, I called that number that you gave me. It's a voicemail box. I want to leave a message. His voice box is full.
Well, if you would please keep trying to get a hold of John Stemberger, I would appreciate it. Let me verify it.
It's not a phone number. It is a voicemail. It's not a phone number.
Well, that's the number that his people gave me when they contacted my people, and my people and his people came up with the confirmation of 407-340-0912.
Correct.
Yep.
That's exactly what I
Okay. All right. Well, Deanne will come in here and we'll try to run this guy down. I have no idea other than that how to get a hold of him, other than getting a hold of his booking agent, which my lovely bride with her beautiful hair is coming through the door right now. Thank you. And in the interim, if the good audience would give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I would love to talk to you. So please please give me a call. Are you going to change and alter or whatever your plans for Thanksgiving? That's one of the questions I'd like to ask you. While I am waiting for your answer, you're not going to believe this story out of New York State. This is one of the stories that just takes my temper and draws it as thin as a stretched rubber band. A New York school district has banned the wearing of a thin blue line sweatshirt honoring a slain police officer. But at the same time, that New York school district is allowing BLM, Black Lives Matter apparel in the school. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but right now, Deanne, I think they have found this man. If you'd give me that information back as quickly as possible, we will introduce the President and General Counsel of Florida Family Administration and Council. Let's get John Stemberger on the line right now. John, good morning. How are you?
Hey, how are you this morning?
Well, we were a little worried we weren't going to catch you. We didn't get an answer at first, but we succeeded with multiple attempts, and here you are. John, you are the President and General Counsel of Florida Family Action. What does that mean? What do you do?
We're one of about 42, 43 other state-based advocacy groups around the country, and we are focused on social issues that are very difficult but very critical to our culture, the institutions of marriage and family, rights of conscience, religious liberty issues. We're very concerned about the encroachment of religious liberty by the LGBT special rights that are being advocated for. We are cultural advocates, and we're just very concerned about the institution of the family in society.
Amen, brother. You're talking to a member of your choir right here. John, I think on January 21st of this next year, the bulk of the population in the United States of America is really going to develop a missing of Donald Trump. Would you agree?
Well, I think that's right, and I think that, I was involved with the Bush versus Gore dispute, which, by the way, took 36, 37 days to resolve. We're not even close to that yet.
Yep.
And the difference was that once the media realized they'd made a mistake, they prematurely called it for Gore, they backed off, and they allowed the institutions of the courts to play out, the recount, the certification process to play out. What's different this time, Zell, is that the media is acting as an advocate and a surrogate for the Biden campaign. They are pushing this, not allowing the process to play out. And I understand that it may be a long shot, but the bottom line is the president is entitled to due process. He's entitled to a fair hearing. There's clear that there was violations of election law everywhere in many states, massive violations of election law. Let's take Pennsylvania, for instance. Literally thousands and thousands of votes were counted without poll watchers present. That's Exhibit A. Everybody keeps asking for evidence. There's evidence, Exhibit A. They keep talking about fraud. The issue is, was election laws violated? There were clearly election laws violated. People voted that were dead. People voted, and it's been documented. The White House is in the process. The president's legal team is in the process of documenting this. So, and the sad part about it is, if Biden does not allow this process to play out fairly, and everybody just kind of prematurely coronates him, he's going to have an aura of illegitimacy around his administration for his entire time.
Absolutely.
If Biden wins fair and square, okay, fine. America has spoken. But right now, we don't even know that we've got a fair shake in this election, and that's a real serious problem.
And, John, let me back up a little bit in asking you, or basically making a statement after I read some of the information sheets about you. You, at first, were not a big fan of Donald Trump. Isn't that true?
That's right. In the primary last time, I was a very vocal opponent of the president, and I thought that he would govern as a New York centrist liberal. I thought he would pick his buddies from Palm Beach to be on the Supreme Court. I thought he would pick Rudy Giuliani and, Chris Christie to be on his cabinet. I had no idea he would be as pro-life, that he would surround himself with godly, conservative Christian men and women that would govern with limited government and traditional values. So he's been remarkable. Put aside his excesses of his personality, his policies have been straight up what America needs, what we've been looking for, a man with guts, a man who's not afraid to take a punch and is unfazed by the media criticism. Those are his great strengths, apart from all of his weaknesses and his moral failures.
Let me ask you this, John. What are your personal biggest fears and worries if, underline the word if, Biden and Harris take over in the Oval Office?
Well, as you probably know, what's more concerning than the White House right now is Georgia.
Right.
If we lose those 2 Senate seats, we'll have a tie, which will be broken every time by Kamala Harris overseeing the United States Senate. And if they gain control of all those branches of government, House, the Senate, and the White House, they'll pass amnesty. Millions of illegals will be instantly able to vote. They will pass the bill to make Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico new states, and they'll have 2 senators each, which will basically flip the United States Senate to be a huge, significant majority Democrat control. They'll create 4 new seats on the U.S. Supreme Court, which they have the authority to do under the Constitution, and then pack it with leftist judges. So they'll basically structurally change the game such that they will have a permanent institutional advantage for decades, if not forever, in American history. So it's a very scary time. We've got to get those Senate seats in Georgia to maintain control of the Senate. Otherwise, we're going to see radical change in America very quickly.
John, one of my biggest fears before we take a call, and Sean over at the station, we've got a little feedback on the line, please. One of my biggest fears is the money, the 5-letter word, the filthy lucre that's going into Georgia from all the Democratic channels. And I've been told by sources down in the Atlanta area that the money is so strong for these 2 Democrats versus the Republicans. What have you heard on this?
Yeah, I'm not up to speed on that. I am concerned that they're making the same mistakes in terms of the mail-in ballot, the lack of oversight, not having poll watchers in the recount process. And so I'm concerned about the legitimacy of the recount and hope that they get that right. So there's the recount, and then there's also the special election that's going to take place. Recount for the president's votes. The special election will be for the Senate seats. In Georgia, there was several candidates, and you have to get at least 50%. So there'll be this runoff campaign will happen in early January. I believe it's the 4th or the 5th. And so those are the 2 things that are taking place.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question or a comment. Go ahead, caller, please. You're on the air.
Well, what bothers me is that in these swing counties, how we as Republicans weren't more prepared in these swing states. And are we going to be prepared on the runoff in Georgia? And you just said you didn't, I don't quite sure what you meant, but are we, how is it that we didn't know this was coming? And how are we going to save ourselves and be fair down on the runoff in Georgia? I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, please.
Yeah, so the problem is this, in part, is because of federalism. The federal government does not control local election law. Each state has different election law, and then that's decentralized to the counties. That's actually a strength because with that kind of decentralization, it's hard to get widespread fraud. But when you have critical places like Philadelphia, that's a highly populated area, and these big major cities like Atlanta, and you have a bad apple there, then that becomes problematic because those are critical areas for the entire state. I think that the other problem is just that the president was warning everyone. He was saying this is going to happen.
Yeah.
When you just send out mail-in ballots, in other words, people are not different absentee ballot. Somebody requests a ballot and they get it. That's different than just widespread mass mailing of ballots to people that are not requesting them that just happen to be on the voter rolls. And then couple that with vote harvesting, where quote-unquote volunteers from the campaigns are going out to the houses that were sent the unsolicited ballots, and they're collecting them, right? So that's the problem. That kind of stuff needs to be banned by Congress, and hopefully they'll do that very soon.
You know, John, one of the other aspects of this problem of our elections and our governance right now are the left-wing governors that are on steroids like Cuomo and Newsom and others that absolutely are exacerbating their actual laws and regulations, and they're making edicts and they're making demands on the American public that are absolutely against our Constitution. What about the governors?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can see literally around the country, you can go red state, blue state, and see where the COVID laws are crazy and where freedom's taking place, where the economy is better. I mean, Democratic governors around the country are killing their states. They're denying fundamental liberties to their citizens, and it's just, you can tell the difference. I mean, and here's the thing, Al. It used to be the Democrats and Republicans, they believed generally in the main same thing. You talked about a Kennedy administration, right? We understood the difference. Communism was bad. Capitalism was good. Foreign policy, right? We knew what a marriage was. We knew what a man and a woman was. I mean, we had some commonality. We knew taxes were bad. Free marketplace is good. But now the parties are so radically divided and so radically polarized. The left has hijacked the Democratic Party and swung them way over to the left. Such that it's radical. And so whether you elect a Republican or a Democrat, in most cases, is going to mean major policy differences between the two parties.
Let me ask you, in the time remaining, I've got about 3 minutes left, John. I'm very concerned about my religion. I'm very concerned about Christianity. I'm really concerned about my church and the going to church and the absolute allegiance to the Bible. What are your thoughts on that if the left takes over the White House?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Scripture speaks about rights of conscience, speaks about conscience in several places. And the problem is some of the earliest Supreme Court cases talk about the freedom of the mind, the freedom to believe. And we're very, very close. We're very, very close to coming to a soft totalitarian state where the government is regulating what you can believe and which beliefs are acceptable to hold and to act upon and to speak in the public square. This is very dangerous. It's unconstitutional. It violates the First Amendment, and it violates the fundamental human right of just being able to define yourself as you want, given your beliefs, even if those beliefs are wrong. And the marketplace of ideas should be able to debate those things freely. And so we're coming into a time where the government is regulating what you can believe and can't believe. This is like North Korea. North Korea sends you to concentration camps to cleanse you from all unrighteousness in your political views if you happen to have a political view that's opposing the government. And so this is very dangerous. I'm very concerned with the Equality Act, which would basically come as a hammer to anyone that has a traditional view of marriage or family. And so these are major problems we're going to have to deal with if Biden is successful, and especially if we don't win the Senate.
Let me say this, and I want you to respond to it quickly, John. I think a lot of the problem goes right smack dab in the face of the churches themselves and the leadership from the pastor on down. They've got to go on offense instead of playing defense. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, that's right, and it's very sad because pastors have just become anemic. I mean, if the pastors of today were the pastors during the American Revolution, we'd be eating fish and chips right now with malt vinegar because, I understand the gospel's primary, but the next primary thing is to protect the ability to preach the gospel, and that's what's about to happen. These pastors that have kind of played around with this election, acting like it was no big deal, and icky poo, the president's too nasty. I mean, look, we're about to get clobbered here real soon. Here's my hope, the federal judges that the president has appointed stand as a bulwark to protect our liberties for at least 30 years. So that's one of the great legacies of the Trump administration, is the federal judiciary, which will, in fact, protect and defend our constitutional rights against the hostility that's about to come. from a Democratic administration.
This gentleman is the president and general counsel of Florida Family Action. I'm going to have him back if he'll consent to come back. John Stemberger, God bless you, man, and thank you for being on the program.
Sure. Take care.
All right, sir. Very interesting man, and believe me, I will have him back in the future. John Stemberger, thank you very, very much. Whoa, look at the clock, Zeb. No weather done yet. I mean, you better hurry up. Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome, with Scarrows Meats, delicious meats. Oh, my goodness. Go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. You'll see what I mean. This is turkey season, ham season. They've got all the tri-tips, the pork ribs. They've got all the different flavors of bacon and sausages and brats. Oh, it's delicious, delicious. Check it out today at Scarrows Meats, 324-7657, the number to call. Right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
Precipitation is in our forecast, and it's going to be a decent day for today. Mostly cloudy skies is what we're looking at. High of about 57. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of rain showers, possible snow showers up at the higher elevations with the low of 41. 50% chance of rain showers for tomorrow. It's a little bit breezy, high of 52. That's going to be tapering off for tomorrow night with a low of about 33 by Thursday. Partly sunny, 46. Friday and Saturday, very nice, but cooler temperatures. Sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the upper 30s. That's look at your weather for Zeb.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. And once again, you're going to be having gatherings and everything. Serve the best, and that's Scarrows Meats. Don't forget, it's easy to find out more. 324-7657, Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. And, of course, their slogan, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. What have we got cooking for tomorrow on the program? It looks like we are going to be having our dear friend Dave Bego from Indianapolis, Indiana. Then we're going to have, I think, the greatest economist, and he really is sought after in various magazines, newspapers, all across the United States. Dr. Michael Busler is going to be on the program, and he's going to share his concerns about a Biden-Harris administration economically, what it would do to this country. And then we're going to have representatives on from the Idaho Fish and Game. All that's coming up tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. Want to remind you about our major sponsor. Oh, I can't do it without them. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They are the best. All 7 locations serving you. Keyword serving, and believe me, they do. With a smile on their face, they come out to your vehicle. What can we do for you today? Whether it's tires or whether it's brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more. They really care about your driving safety. Stop in and see them, James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and of course my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see those good folks today. Last week we started doing a little bit of a Bible passage at the end of our program, and that's going to continue on today. And I'm just going to read this to you out of Colossians. Don't let others spoil your faith and joy with their philosophies. They're wrong and shallow answers built on men's thoughts and ideas instead of on what Christ has said. For in Christ there is all of God in a human body. I like that. Don't let others spoil your faith and joy. We're going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for today, and we always say at the end of the program, the way things were, the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that mean the most to me, in God we trust. Have a great day. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch. Adios.